Welcome back, VA user. In today's session, we'll see how we can process the payments into the VA system without opening the payment window. So as I have mentioned in my previous video, when we are entering the payments using the payment window, that there is a utility called payment form is available into the VA system. By using that utility, you would be able to process the payments into the VA system. Now why this utility is needed, because sometimes, as I have mentioned, that it is sometimes very difficult to explain to the user that there are various kind of payments they would be able to generate using the payment window. So this is the utility where the things are segregated in a way where the user comes to know about that they would be able to generate a cash payment, they would be able to generate a check payment separately, they can generate the payment schedules, they can enter the manual, they can generate the manual payments as well. So that is one of the very wonderful utility of the VA that I personally like a lot. So let's move on to the payment form and we'll see how you would be able to generate the payment using the payment form. So I'm at my login screen presently and I'm logging through with IDS Sync Admin. Let's say login. Search for payment form. So if you can see that the payment form is divided into three sections. Onto the left side section, you would be utilize these as the filters to filter the data into the VA system. Okay. Thereafter, onto the middle section, you would be able to see all your invoices, all your orders against which you just need to receive certain payments or you need to pay something. Then you would be able to see here. Okay, and onto the right side, you would be able to see that there are certain invoices which are hold for payment. There are certain orders against which the vendor is waiting for the payment. So all these would be available here, which are due or overdue. Okay. Now onto the top, you would be able to search a relevant invoice order. You would be able to search it here. Now at the top, you would be able to see if you want to process a check payment, you would be able to process a check payment. If you want to process the cash payments, then you would be able to do so. If you want to generate a batch and against that batch you want to process a single payment, you would be able to do so. Then you would be able to see if you want to split a certain, if you want to split, let's suppose this invoice into two different schedules, then you would be able to do so. So in such a case, you just need to click here and split amount you need to enter. So I will say 100 is my split amount. So my schedule will be breakdown in this way. So I would say okay, and my amount is splitted accordingly. So it is 100 and 150. Thereafter, there is a manual payment. If I want to generate a certain manual payment for a certain business partner, I don't want to select anything here, then I would be able to process that. So to process such a transaction, I just need to select this. I need to select whether the document type is AP payment, or I need to select the bank. I would select here, enter the transaction date. So to which business partner you're paying. So I'm paying to a vendor. So I will select a vendor, its location, the currency, in which currency I'm paying it up, and whether it is against charge or it is not against charge. So it is not mandatory to select a charge. I would say I don't want to enter a certain charge. So I'm paying $100. So my check number is something this, my check date is going to be this, and I will say okay, and the system will generate the payment for me. Okay, so I need not to do anything, and you would be able to select this payment and you would be able to verify this payment at the payment window. So that is the manual payments into the VA system. Okay, so if I will search the same payment as 16, so you would be able to see my payment is generated here, and that is for Chetter's Wire, and the amount that we have entered was 100. So you would be able to see it is 100. So that is how we would be able to generate the payment. Now let's again move on to the last. If you want to do a bank transfer, then you would be able to transfer from one bank to another bank. So that is the bank transfer. So in such a case, I just need to say HQ from which bank, PNV to bank HDFC, payment doc type is the payment, here is the receipt, the amount is let's say 150, the payment method is somewhere called check number, check date I need to enter. So I would say not check, I will say Visa, it is going to be a transfer, then the currency is in US, and this is the transaction date. Okay, so that is, it is the payment and receipt. So it is the payment to HDFC, this bank, and this, and thereafter if I will generate OK, so the system will generate the transaction into the background, and that becomes one, for one it is becomes AP payment, for the another it becomes AR payment. So in this way we would be able to generate the bank to bank transfer. So if you want to check it onto the payment, you would be able to check it onto the payment. So let's move on to the payment and we'll see how it is. So here is from the PNV, there is a payment we have done for the value of $150, while for the another one it is going to be, that is the 4 series, right? So I would showcase you that was 4072. If so 17 is here, and here the important part, there is no business partner, right? For the other one as well, there is no business partner, right? So that is how you would be able to generate this payment. Now if I want to generate a check payment, I would be able to do so. So let's say my invoice is on payment hold, I don't want to move here. First I just need to inquire. So for this invoice, let's say 6,500, I need to pay through a check. I will click here, select the organization, the document type, the bank account, and then the bank and the bank account. Then my payment method is going to be check, and then I would be able to enter my check number. So once it is done, I will say OK. As a result of this, the system will remove this invoice from this section and it will generate the payment. Okay, so when I will close this and I will move on to the payment and I will check, so you would be able to see the check of $6,500. Okay, so that is how you would be process the check payment. If I want to process a certain cash payment, then I would be able to do so. So let's suppose I want to process for Roxanne 2,250. So however it was decided that we'll pay through a check, so here you would be able to see the information, but I'm going to process it using the cash payment. So I will select here, I will say doc type, and from which cash book I'm going to pay. It is going to be this checkbook. My balance is 205. I won't be able to do. I will select here, there is no opening balance. Then I would select here minus 1,000, then this, then this. So it is euro, so there is no conversion found. So I would be able to pay, since I do not have the entire value, so I would pay after breaking this. So let me split it out, and I would say I want to split it of 50. So I will split this. So split once again 50. So that's okay. Now we'll move on, and to showcase you, there is a $50 amount to be paid to. So I would move here and I will say I want to pay from this. I do have $205 available, so I can be able to process this. So I will say okay, and as a result of this, you would be able to see your cash journal is processed by the system. You can see here the cash journal is processed of $50. So for auction you would be able to see here, okay, so minus 50. Now you would be able to complete this. Now the last point is basically how you would want to, if you want to generate a batch, you would be able to generate a batch. So let's suppose for this 2, 3 and 4, for these two vendors I want to pay, I want to generate this. So I will click here and I will say based on selection instead of based on rules. So there is a certain rule, predefined rules are there at the background. So when you select based on rule, then it will show you a pop-up there. You just need to select your criteria to select certain invoices. So I'm not going to do that. Instead I'm selecting based on selection. I will say okay. So all this would come here. We'll say okay, batch payment to generate from this currency is in USD. The payment method is going to be check, the check details. So I do not have the check available presently, so we'll say okay and we'll say okay. As a result of this, the system will generate the payment schedule batch. So we'll open the payment schedule batch. So here you would be able to see that your batch payment is generated by the system. So at this, and this is for two vendors, since we have selected 4 lines and 2 for each. So for extensive you would be able to see 2, and for Wentworth you would be able to see all those 2 invoices. So in this way you would be able to select the batch. Now at the various places, what happens, you want to download the batch files or something. If it is enabled there or implemented in your project, you would be able to download the payment batch files. You just need to say complete. Once it is complete, say generate payment, and the system will generate the payment. So right now the auto check issue is coming for the bank account number this. So once I will sort it out, thereafter I would be able to generate the payment. So that is how you would be able to utilize this form, and thereafter onto the right side you would be able to see the bank balances and the cash book balances for the login organization. So you would be able to see all those details. So that is one of the wonderful utility of the VA system available. And using this payment form, you would be able to process your payments very quickly without consuming lots of time. So that's, and then since you're selecting your invoices, your allocations are getting auto generated, and you need not to wait for the allocations to be done at the end of the month. So that's really one of the nice utility. So that's all in this video. And if you like this video, then share across with your colleagues so that they would learn how you would be able to process the payment. And if you really like our video, then I would request you to subscribe our channel for such a wonderful video in the upcoming future. Thanks a lot. Bye bye. Thank you.